Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And so if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Isolation. And that is in reference to a full moon that we are having on Friday in 2 days at 28 degrees of Virgo. And Virgo's like their solitude. But solitude is one thing and isolation is another. And isolation is what we're talking about today, because that can be something that the head of an organization or a leader or somebody, even your boss, could be going through for different reasons. And it's unusual because actually, under the full moon on Friday, there is a grand trine in the earth signs. And that simply means that that full moon in Virgo is trining Uranus and Taurus, and it's also being trined by Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto is at 28 degrees, the exact same degree as the full moon. So it's a perfect trine. So these three planets in the earth signs should denote a strong emphasis on reality and practical matters, your career, your job, your investments, your retirement, your health, problems that can be solved. And yet they're not doing that right now. The emphasis isn't on that. The emphasis is on whoever it is that is being isolated. Now, they've done it to themselves. Nobody else has done it to them. They've brought that on by themselves. And one of the reasons why this isolation can be occurring among some sort of leader in any kind of an organization is because their power base is crumbling. And that is due actually to the weakness and the challenges that these three planets face in the earth signs, even though they're trining each other. And so the reason isolation is coming about for somebody is due to their arrogance. And arrogance comes from a dedication to trying to convince other people how smart somebody is. An arrogant person knows they're not very smart. In other words, to be arrogant is almost a sign that you're not too intelligent. But that doesn't stop a lot of people, and they're still going to be arrogant. And that arrogance is to cover up a certain lack of intellectual ability or a certain lack of mental stamina. And so instead, they spend their whole lives telling you how wrong you are and trying to convince you that everything that they do is right. I mean, they're Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. They never do anything wrong. Nothing is ever their fault. Oh. So that's another sign of arrogance too, because everything is human. I mean, we're all human. And there's a duality in just about everything. In a 24-hour day, there is day and night. And there is sunlight and starlight. I mean, you know, there's a little mixture of a lot of things in us, so nobody's perfect here. And that's what makes a person arrogant, is they really know that they are sort of not up to the task. So this could be your boss, or it could be somebody else that you know, or some famous person that you've read about, whose power base is crumbling now, but it's due to their own arrogance, and it's resulting in isolation because the planets in the grand trine that are affecting this full moon are so weak. And it starts with the full moon. So the full moon is in Virgo at 28 degrees, and it is being hammered by 4 planets in Pisces. And so with 4 planets in Pisces, and all of them are good ones because Mercury has just entered Pisces. So there is Mercury and the Sun and Neptune and Jupiter all in Pisces. And they are coming up against that full moon, We already know when the moon and the sun oppose each other or square each other, it's a sign of indecision or confusion. But there's even more of that going on right now. Only I would say, since Pisces rules things that are going on behind the scenes, I would say that one reason a power base is crumbling is because of so much distrust. You know, you really can't count on that arrogant leader anymore. Maybe they've just tripped themselves up. Maybe they've just had their way one too many times. And besides, they weren't very smart to start with. And so maybe even if they're in a quandary right now, the problem is that they prefer the isolation. They prefer the fact that they don't have to listen to anybody else. They don't have to compromise. In their isolation, they're convinced they are getting everything their own way. So why bother? Well, there are enough people around with these 4 planets in Pisces opposing that full moon on Friday that even a modest effort is not going to get off the ground right now because of things that are going on behind the scenes that denote an answer to a prayer or a miracle that could happen or just a better understanding and empathy. A lot of that going on. I mean, those are the things Pisces rules. So this full moon is being overwhelmed by the 4 planets in Pisces, and that weakens it. And so how about Uranus and Taurus, which is trining that full moon? Oops, Uranus and Taurus is getting hammered, and that weakens it. And that is because Uranus and Taurus is being squared very harshly right now by 3 planets in Aquarius. And so Venus is in Aquarius, but so is Mars and so is Saturn. And Mars and Saturn are 2 malefic planets, and Uranus is the 3rd one. And so these 4 planets, which are in fixed signs now, and they're not budging at all, indicate that a person's credibility or whatever their reputation was is perhaps in tatters right now, simply because of financial problems that they don't control, that they can't do anything about. And these financial problems are really weakening that Uranus and Taurus. And they're coming from people who want a better future. You know, these 3 planets in Aquarius, well, Aquarius rules the future. And they are dynamic planets. And so for people who want a better future, you know, you got to have money for that. And if costs are going up and down, or if there are problems that are so big nobody can solve them, or at least nobody's trying, such as high national debt in any country, or such as inflation all over the world, or just the fact that people don't trust other people. So there is a lot of tension, and there's a lot of challenge to this Uranus in Taurus. So it too is very weak, even though it's in this grand trine in Earth signs. Well, that leaves a 3rd planet, Pluto. Pluto is in Capricorn, and as I said, it's at 28 degrees. It's exactly the same degree as the full moon on Friday in Virgo. So that's a perfect trine. But that Pluto in Capricorn is sure standing alone. It isn't getting any help from the other planets in the grand trine because they're too weak to help it out. And Pluto represents people at the top, in government organizations or in large corporations, or people who just want to be boss. And there's no way to fortify that right now, because there's nothing positive to help that Pluto in Capricorn out. There's some negative things going on, but nothing positive. And so people are full of distrust now. And that is why somebody's power base is crumbling, and why they actually, due to their own arrogance, they're happy with their isolation. Because after all, if you're really arrogant, you're the only person in the world that really matters, so why would you mind being isolated? In fact, you could like it. You wouldn't ever have to deal with anybody that didn't agree with you. So this is a time when a leader is extremely isolated for a lot of different reasons, some of which are not in their control, but all of which they more or less brought on themselves in one way or another, particularly through their arrogance. So it simply means that, any of the good reputation or the credibility that they had has just been washed down the drain by their own attitude, their own arrogance, their own words and deeds, none of which ever were self-critical. They had no humility. They were always right. And nobody's buying it anymore. And so, whether that is your boss, or that's somebody that you read about in the paper, or you've just heard about them, I wouldn't waste a lot of tears on them. They are where they want to be. And so I think that what we need to understand is having a greater sense of humility can be life-saving. Humility is ruled by Pisces, and those 4 planets in Pisces are wonderful planets. And so this is a time with a sense of humility and of wanting to be close to others and of admitting that we're not perfect. That makes us all sort of brothers and sisters, doesn't it? I mean, don't we all have that in common? And so I think that this is a time when if you happen to know somebody whose power base is eroding quite a bit, I wouldn't feel too sorry for them. And also, I wouldn't stand too close to them, because whatever the fallout is that they're going through, you don't want it on your shoulders as well. And so it's a good time to kind of step away from anybody who's always right, or who's arrogant, or who's the boss, or feels that, no one's quite equal to their grandness. Just let them go. Because all of us have little things that, actually that's why we need each other. We need each other because none of us is perfect. And we complement and sort of balance each other. I really appreciate somebody who knows what they're doing as far as some things that I'm bad at, because I'll probably never learn how to do them right. So I admire somebody who knows that. Don't you? Don't you have people that you admire because they're outstanding, but particularly in things that you're not good at? I mean, that's nice. So we can't all be perfect, but we can all be partners. We can all be sort of brothers and sisters if we want to be. We can all be friends. I don't quite think that's happening under this full moon, but there can be a great deal of charity and humility and understanding behind the scenes, and that's probably a safer place for all of us to be. Helping those less fortunate. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries, for you, there's only actually one planet in a cardinal sign right now. Yours is a cardinal sign, but it's Pluto in Capricorn, which is squaring your sun sign, and it is being backed up by Uranus and Taurus and the full moon in Virgo on Friday, but that isn't going to help Pluto very much, and so you may still be challenged by somebody in a powerful position or by a business matter that is not in your control, but that could affect your career. And so, Aries, you have to be you have to sort of watch where you walk right now and be very tactful. And just don't draw any attention to yourself, Aries. Just sort of, let other people see how hard you're working and hope that that does impresses them, because there could be budget cuts coming up. Since not even an arrogant power leader can change some of the overwhelming financial problems in the world, it sort of means none of us can escape that. And Aries, there could be, no matter what your level of expertise is, there could be some budget cutbacks where you are. And two things could happen. Either you get laid off, or else somebody else gets laid off and you get stuck with their job and your job for no extra money. That doesn't sound too fair, does it? But that might be because the budget is so thin. So I think, just as a precaution, you should be looking for greener pastures, Aries. And there are no planets in the fire signs right now. And this full moon is beleaguered. It's not going to be much help to anybody. And it does represent isolation. So don't isolate yourself, Aries. And just look like you're working hard and that you're not noticing anything. And I would say, just as an insurance policy to help you keep your own peace of mind, you should be looking for something else. Have another job offer in the background that you could go to if you need to. And start looking for that now. Nothing wrong with that. And how do you know? If there are budget cuts, maybe that other job offer would be at higher pay. And so why shouldn't you go there? So give that a try, Aries. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. Well, Uranus is in your sign, and remember I said it is part of a grand trine on Friday, because the full moon in Virgo is going to be trining Uranus in your sign, and so is Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto's going to be trining Uranus in your sign until 2025. You're not going to get rid of it. But a trine is a good aspect, so that's fine. Right now, though, your Uranus in your sign is really undergoing severe challenges, and nothing can stop it. And the reason why is that your sign is a fixed sign, Taurus. Well, Aquarius, another fixed sign which rules the future, has 3 strong planets in it. And it's Venus, Mars, and Saturn. And Mars and Saturn are malefic planets, and so is Uranus in your sign. So these malefic planets are in very harsh aspect to each other, and that simply means you are facing some financial challenge, Taurus. It could be higher taxes. It could be something where, because of inflation, another problem nobody is solving, because of inflation, anything that you wanted to do or invest in the future is now a lot higher priced. And do you have all the more money that you need, Taurus? Because it's going to take more money. And if you are buying something that is overpriced or inflated, are you really getting any of your money's worth out of it? I don't think so. So it isn't necessarily a good investment at this time. Inflation is just like a bubble, and if it keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing, it's going to pop. Okay, so what follows that? What follows if inflation just gets so high that nobody's got any money to spend on anything, and we all have to reduce, no matter what you earn, we all have to reduce our standard of living? That is going to promote distrust in the public, and the public's already headed that way. And it might promote distrust in something you want to do, Taurus. So I think that you should prepare under these severe challenges of the malefic planets. You should prepare for some sort of setback. The way that I suggest you do that is just rearrange your calendar a little bit. Something that you had timed that is coming up and that you You said, oh, I already have the budget for this and I'm going to do this. I would delay that. You know, push it out a little further. Maybe inflation will come down. Maybe costs will come down. Maybe there are other bills that are a little bit more pressing that you need to pay attention to right now, including taxes. And so just, you know, put a few things off, Taurus, particularly if they're expensive. I wouldn't be spending any extra money right now, Taurus. You are going to need it. Now, I don't know why you're going to need it, except that everything is just getting more expensive. So all of us are going to have to pay more, or else we're going to have to change our daily habits. And that's why I suggest delaying something or putting something off. Because that takes the pressure off you a little bit, Taurus, and that would be good. Because your sign is under pressure with these malefic planets squaring your sun sign. So this is a time just to be cautious, maybe even to just sort of wind down a little bit. You know, slow down a little bit. And really stop spending money. Because you will need it later on. So, nothing wrong with taking a time out, Taurus. Everybody does it, so give it a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, you have a lot of planets that are trining your sun because Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius, the sign of the future, are trining your sun. Your sun sign rules easy transitional change. You know, change that is not too hard to make. Moving from one place to another. And they could even be still in your neighborhood or nearby. That's well aspected, actually. Or sometime in the future that is well aspected. Or taking on some extra responsibility besides what you already do. Working on a part-time project or a little temporary project. Maybe you're even going to take a short class just to brush up on your skills. That would be fine. So that would be in preparation for a better future as well. So that's good. But on Friday, that full moon in Virgo is going to square your sun. And 4 planets in Pisces already square your sun. And so they're, you know, you can't please everybody, Gemini. Geminis have, they're very conversational. They know a little bit about a lot of things. They're curious people. And so they read a lot. You know, they like to be up on the news. And it's just that this is a time to sort of be a little bit more quiet. And keep reading if you want to, but it's a good time to be a little bit more quiet, not because you are doing anything wrong, Gemini, at all. Particularly not with those 3 planets in Aquarius trining your sun. You have tremendous backup. But it is because those planets in Pisces square your sun sign, and that means that behind the scenes, people are not trusting leaders the way they used to. And there's a lot of distrust and confusion and indecision around. And that could land on your doorstep if you expose yourself to too many things. And so this is a little bit better time for you to be a little bit more repetitive. Just do simple things that you need to catch up on. That's fine. But if you want to get out in a broader spectrum right now, I would say that, you know, you need to be aware that people are not in a trusting mood right now. Because, you know, they don't know what's going to happen next. And there are big problems that nobody seems to be able to solve right now. That can scare people. So, Gemini, sort of keep a low profile if you can. Once again, not because you're doing anything wrong, but simply because other people are uneasy about a lot of things. And you don't want to invite that kind of attitude being directed toward you. There's no reason for it. But people could sort of turn on you a little bit if you're expressing too many opinions right now. That's why I would be a little bit quiet this week. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. Well, this is a time when you certainly do benefit from the 4 planets in Pisces that are all trining your sun. That's a lot of planets just in one sign. And so Mercury, the sun, Jupiter, and Neptune are all trining your sun, Cancer. And so this is a time, a really, really good time for you to play catch up. And that simply means since Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes, or it rules things that, you know, we sort of put off or mean to do, but never, you know, we kid ourselves and we don't get things done. Well, this would be, particularly with Jupiter there, this would be a great time for you to catch up on things that are forward-looking. Because there aren't as many planets in Capricorn as there used to be. There's now only one, Pluto, and it is not getting any support at all. So that weakens it. And so this is a time when I think, Cancer, if you stick sort of close to home and family and real estate matters, if you are contemplating a move, this would be a pretty good time to quietly plan it. I wouldn't tell too many people. You could just sort of have it in the back of your mind, but not quite want to discuss it with a lot of people right now. And that may be because you don't have all the facts. But if you dig a little bit, if you go to some people behind the scenes, they will answer your questions, Cancer. You will be able to get information that you want. And remember, it's because somebody thinks you're worth it. They will help you if you need help. And I'm not anticipating that you would need help with all the protection you're getting from Pisces. But still, this is a bit of a shaky world. And this is a time when all of us need to stay away from arrogant people, because they are definitely losing it. Their power base is already gone. They don't seem to mind that they're in isolation, because they may have enough money, they may be very comfortable, and they don't have to talk to anybody or be threatened in any way, at least not in isolation. Stay away from those people, Cancer. Far away. First of all, they don't see either you or anybody else as being smarter than they are. And that's just not true. You know, and Einstein was a Pisces, and he said he couldn't add his grocery bill. He just couldn't do it. So he always had somebody else that bought the groceries and cooked for him and stuff like that, because he couldn't do something like that. His head was up in his theory of relativity, and he couldn't get it back down to everyday life. And so what we have to do is we have to accept in ourselves what we're good at and give ourselves credit for it and emphasize the good stuff, but not listen to people who are just telling us how wrong we are simply because they're not smart enough to figure anything out, so they'd rather put somebody else down. So stay away from those people, Cancer. They are not your type. Cancer is a nurturing sign. They like helping people out, and it's softly. They do it softly. So enjoy all those planets in Pisces that are trining your sun, Cancer, because they're going to help you out a lot behind the scenes. And when you need information, you just go ask somebody. They'll give it to you. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Leo. Well, Leo, your sign rules leadership, and it rules sports and love affairs and fun and parties, and it rules horse racing, and it rules gambling. And Leos are very generous people because the sign is ruled by the sun. So Leo, you could have been thinking to, and it rules acting, it rules the entertainment industry. You could have been feeling that you have been waiting in the wings for a long time and that you want to get out and do your thing. After all, the future is accentuated because there are 3 very strong planets in Aquarius. However, unfortunately, they are all opposing your sun sign. And that is because Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius are opposing your sun sign, and Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun sign, and that involves the 3 malefic planets, Mars, Saturn, and Uranus. Unfortunately, since Uranus is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, it simply means that a financial plan of yours could be in jeopardy, or be, I would say, in serious doubt right now. And it doesn't mean that it's gone completely, but it means it's going, and the reason why is a lack of funds. Now, you could say that you have all the money that you need to go forward. Well, you would perhaps at today's prices, but even by tomorrow, those prices are going to go up, and then higher and higher and higher because of inflation. And the higher that inflation goes, the more worthless our money is, because it takes a lot more money to buy something that isn't worth anything more than what we originally thought it was. So, Leo, you may want to, your sign is the sign of generosity and extravagance. This would be a terrible time for you to take a gamble. Don't do it. And it would be a terrible time for you to go out and spend an awful lot of money on something frivolous or something that is pure luxury. But you know, you better ask yourself, are you sure it isn't going to isolate you? Because isolation is going to happen to people who are going to enjoy it and not realize, of course, until it's too late, that a whole lot of people don't trust them anymore, don't have any confidence in them, and therefore there's no more money coming their way. You know, it hasn't dawned on them yet. They're just enjoying their isolation. And because they're arrogant, they're enjoying their sense of power and how right they always are. If you know anybody like that, Leo, you got to run the other way. Because they could cost you money. And if you've been thinking of anything like that, you got to sort of pull back and develop a little more humility. And I really wouldn't spend a lot of money right now, Leo. You know, I've been trying to tell everybody not to spend a lot of money right now because of inflation. But the other side of the coin is, Leo, if you could put off some of your plans for a while, you know, just like Taurus, if you could move your calendar out a little bit and not be in such a rush to do things, there could be a financial advantage to that. And it is that once inflation gets too high that the bubble bursts, then we're going to have a recession. And when we have a recession, prices come back down. And that is when you could afford something a little better, Leo. So if you could possibly just bide your time and save more money, you could walk into a better deal later on. It might be by next spring. Not this spring, next spring. But it would cost you less than it would cost you today. So, when there's a recession going on, people who have saved money can make some pretty good buys. And you should look forward to that, Leo, not to whatever you want to do right now. If people have money, it's just costing them too much. Even to spend it, it's costing them too much. Because things aren't worth what they're paying for. Prices are too high. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Well, congratulations, Virgo. The full moon on Friday is in your sign at 28 degrees. And there is a grand trine going on under it because Uranus in Taurus is trining the full moon, and also Pluto in Capricorn is trining that full moon. But all of the planets in the earth signs are weakened for one reason or another. Yours is weakened because it is being opposed by the 4 planets in Pisces. And, it's 4 against 1 there. Because the moon will be in your sign on Friday, but, and actually on Thursday too, but on Friday the full moon will be exact at 28 degrees in your sign. So the sun is at 28 degrees of Pisces, but Mercury is there, Jupiter is there, and so is Neptune. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So there can be indecision and confusion, but that is not going to hurt people behind the scenes who have a sense of humility and want to help others. That's actually very good for charity, because Pisces rules charity, or helping people out. But those planets are opposing your sun sign, and so Virgo, if you were wanting to go ahead on something that you have worked on for a while, and you feel ready to expand, and you feel like you can afford it, and you want to go ahead and initiate a plan of some sort, I would caution you to be very careful about that. And if you do that, try not to talk about it. If you could think of very quiet things behind the scenes that you could do without anybody else, and they would be involving self-improvement, like taking a class or improving your health in some way, that would be great. But if you're sort of wanting to get out, Virgos are never arrogant. So you don't have to worry about the whole arrogant and isolation issue. But Virgos do like their solitude. And so I would advise you to sort of withdraw a little bit and enjoy your solitude, because that's not the same thing as isolation. Isolation means you're cut off from others, either because you did the cutting off or they're going to do the cutting off, but it happens. But solitude simply means that you want to think things over real carefully. And also, Virgo, you're known for collecting facts. You're known for, collecting data from a lot of different sources so that you can consider a lot of different viewpoints before you make up your mind about something. And now, why don't you do that? Keep collecting facts. But if I were you, I wouldn't advertise what you're doing right now, or I wouldn't expand outwardly too much. You could quietly go about your business, and that would be a good idea. Because this full moon, even though it's in your sign, is weakening your sign. It isn't just weakening the full moon, it's weakening your whole sign. And that's why you need to sort of have a quiet weekend, Virgo. And particularly one where you can get more rest. Rest works very well for a Virgo. They need to rest their fine mind, because Virgo is such a mental sign. So try to do something else, or else just get a lot of rest, Virgo, and leave everything alone if you can. Okay? All right, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, just like Gemini, you are being blessed by the fact that there are 3 planets in Aquarius. Venus, Mars, and Saturn, they're all really strong planets, and they are trining your sun, Libra. Well, Venus is your own ruler, and all the planets are direct right now, and it simply means that there could be some rather dynamic people headed your way, Libra. And they sort of know what they want. And on top of that, one thing they don't want is isolation. So they're not going to be arrogant, okay, because arrogance is a sign of overconfidence, and it's a way being arrogant is a way of putting everybody else down because it covers up the fact that you're not too bright yourself. Well, I'm not talking about you, Libra. I'm talking about people who are arrogant. But the people that are coming at you now, represented by Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius, trining your sun, are people that are rather serious about the future. And I think they want to include you in it, Libra. Particularly since it's your ruler, Venus, that's trining your sun. Now, I will say with Mars and Saturn, also they're trining your sun, whatever you're doing or whatever you're thinking of getting involved in is going to require a lot of hard work. And there may come a time when there isn't enough money to do something the way you would like to do it. But that's okay. Libras are very artistic. And they can make beauty wherever they go. Because the Libra rules art. And so you don't have to have millions to make something look like a million. You can make something look very appealing and very good, and use materials that are within your budget as well. And so even if you had to work hard at a future project with other people, it would really be worth it. It really would. And if you get to a point where you can't quite afford the next wonderful thing, just wait a little while. Just wait a little while. Things will change. Gemini rules change, and Gemini trines your sun as well. So for right now, Libra, I don't think that you should, I think the thing that you should look for now are people who are talking about something rather serious, a serious future project. And that future project wouldn't have holes in it, but it would have things that need to be addressed that are hard to achieve. Now you should look for that, Libra. You should look for the challenge, and then you should also say to yourself, but this is a blessing in disguise. This is going to bring things out in me, and I'm going to be better for it. And if you do see something hard, or you're with people that are thinking, gee, this is a pretty big task, well, jump in, Libra. It'll do you a world of good. You'll be just fine. And they'll back you up, too. And you'll be there to help them. But if you just want to spend your life, on Easy Street, sitting back and watching the world go by, somehow I don't think that that's going to do much for you. It's not going to bring out the best in you. The things that make us proud of ourselves are the challenges that we have to overcome. And so look for those, Libra. They're going to do you a world of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when, just like Cancer, you too certainly profit from the 4 planets in Pisces that are trining your sun. And that is because it's Mercury, the Sun, Neptune, and Jupiter that are all trining your sun. So if you wanted some information from behind the scenes, or if you wanted to find out what the real scoop was on something, or you wanted to see what someone else was hiding, you could find all that out, Scorpio. The 2 signs that are best at being detectives are Capricorn and Scorpio. And Scorpio does rule the spy business. And so, you could be expanding your detecting capabilities right now, Scorpio. And whatever you learn, I'm sure you would keep to yourself. A Scorpio is very good at keeping a secret, and nobody would get it out of them, ever. They don't divulge secrets. So I think that this is a time when you might be able to go behind the scenes and sort of connect the dots and get at a deeper truth about someone. And it could be someone who loves the isolation they're in because they've been arrogant for so long that nobody trusts them anymore. But that's okay with them because they don't have to prove anything. They're by themselves and probably in the lap of luxury. That's why I'm thinking nobody should feel sorry for these people that are in isolation now. They brought it upon themselves, but they also enjoy it. That's almost not human, but they do. And so they are so wrapped up in themselves. That's why they enjoy it. You know, their favorite topic is themselves. So, Scorpio, this is a time when you could gain valuable information that you're interested in. I don't think you're going to be divulging it to too many people, but it would put you in a better position to make a pretty good decision about something. The full moon in Virgo is sextiling your sun. It's not hurting you at all. The only thing that's really hurting you, since yours is a fixed sign, is that Uranus and Taurus is opposing your sun, and Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius are squaring your sun. And that simply means that with all three malefic planets in harsh aspect to your sun sign, Scorpio, you really have got to guard every asset that you've got. Guard all your money. Guard your possessions. Guard your loved ones. I do not think that today is the same as that everything today is the same as it was yesterday. It is not. And be sure and be just like so many other people that are distrustful of leaders right now, particularly arrogant leaders. And, you know, stay away from people that you can't trust. Don't even be with them for one tempting moment. It is going to hurt you. And that is because the malefic planets are so harsh to your sun sign. So this is a very good time to quietly look a lot of things over yourself and get answers. You can get answers or get information that you want. And then I think maybe you just got to make decisions on your own. Or just be real quiet. Don't attract the people that are arrogant. Don't attract anybody that could be malicious, arrogant, or evil. Because they would be sort of, you know, if you have assets or you have money, they might be after it. And that's why you need to guard that carefully right now. And I think you just have to be more hands-on with your own things right now, Scorpio. Because for sure, the one person you can trust is you. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. This is a time when I think that you are going to feel like you are the man or the woman in the middle, caught. And the reason why is that full moon on Friday in Virgo is squaring your sun. But so is the sun in Pisces. And Mercury and Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. That's 5 planets in those 2 mutable signs that are all squaring your sun sign, Sagittarius. And there are no other planets in fire signs, and there's nothing in your sign either. So you could be the innocent prey of people who are either angry or distrustful or extremely arrogant, or they would be people that while they prefer their own isolation, the real bottom line is they prefer always having their own way. And yours is an intellectual sign ruled by Jupiter. So it's your own ruler, Jupiter, that is squaring your sun. That's not too good. It means you could make a mistake right now by either underestimating somebody or overestimating somebody. And so before you do anything quickly, which is the way fire signs like to operate, you really have to take 2 steps back and look things over again and then decide what you want to do. But I urge you not to impulsively do anything right now, Sagittarius. Your sign has no support and 5 planets challenging it. So this is a good time to, just let something ride, Sagittarius. You will be able to start something new this summer. But for right now, I don't think that you are necessarily shaky, but conditions around all of us in the world are sort of shaky right now. So this isn't the time to act fast. This is also not the time to spend money. So we have to pull back, all of us. Not because we like isolation, we like being with each other. It is simply that we can't assume that the future is going to be like the past. The future is going to sort of write its own ticket, I think. And right now, the 3 malefic planets that are squaring each other, 2 of which are in the sign of the future, Aquarius, means that something could take a wrong turn before it takes a right one. And you should stand back, Sagittarius. Don't risk your own talent right now. And don't be second best. Even if you miss an opportunity right now, or even if the price looks like it's going up on something and it's something you want, so you think you should buy it now, I would say just don't take a risk on anything. I mean, half of all the planets in the heavens are challenging your sign right now, and your sign has no support. So where would that lead you? It probably into a little bit of trouble. And that's why I'm saying pull back right now. Just take a weekend off. Just relax. Nothing wrong with that. It doesn't hurt anybody. Probably do you a lot of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when I think the pressure can be off you because there aren't as many planets in your sign. There's only one, and it's Pluto. And on Friday, when the full moon hits, there is a grand trine in Earth signs. So Uranus and Taurus is trining your sun. It will be until 2025, so it's trining Pluto in your sign. And then the full moon on Friday, also at 28 degrees of Virgo, is trining your sun. But that full moon is weakened by the onslaught of so many planets in Pisces challenging it. So we know that people who are sympathetic, sort of for the underdog, or are feeling charitable towards others because they need a helping hand right now, those people are going to do just fine. But Capricorn, yours is a business sign. And it doesn't have much support now, even though there is a grand trine to the Pluto in your sign. And that's because Uranus is weakened, because the malefic planets are all squaring each other, and the full moon is weakened because of all the planets opposing it in Pisces. So Capricorn, if you know somebody who is arrogant, and you've always put up with them, you've always listened to them, every time they keep spewing about how right they are on everything, you've just sat there and listened to it. And all I can say is, why bother? First of all, the isolation that they have built for themselves is quite comfortable. They enjoy that. And they think less of others than they do of themselves. They are the number 1 star in their book. And you would not be at all. And so, Capricorn, you're better off doing what you do. You may not be the captain of industry. You may not head your own organization. But on the other hand, you are probably very much in charge of what you do. Even if you had a boss who was arrogant, even without having to listen to your boss, you're a person that generally has a real good idea of how to do their job. And also, Capricorn is a sign that can dig for information. All those planets in Pisces sextile your sun. They're hurting the full moon, but they're actually sextiling your sun. Pisces sextiles Capricorn. And so I would say, Capricorn, as long as you do not let yourself become the victim of somebody else's one-upmanship, then you're doing just fine. You really are probably doing better on your own than you are with others. And also you can work at your own pace, which is good. Capricorns can be very hard workers, but what they're really known for is being very steady, dependable. You know, you can always count on the Capricorn. And that's because Saturn is the ruler of your sign, and Saturn is a very steady planet. So I would say trust your own judgment, and if you do know of these arrogant people that are always right about everything, you know, try not to have anything to do with them right now, Capricorn. And they are never going to do you any good, ever. And that's because in order for them to exist in their sort of, on their throne, their own throne, they always have to have other people to put down. And that does not seem to be a very good place for you. Particularly not since you're a good hard worker. Nobody should be putting you down. So just remember that. And if you have to do something on your own, then do it. Nobody's ever going to say that you're not capable, because you are. And you really do not have to please somebody who's getting their joy out of putting you down. That's mean. Arrogant people have mean streaks in them. Selfish. You know, they are number one and everyone else is far below. And that's why they're isolated. That isn't the way we work. We make friends. And we have family. And we can be fulfilled in many ways. And for you, Capricorn, your job is your fulfillment. You like working. And even after you're retired, I'll bet you're still working at something. That's just the way it goes. Which is good, because Capricorns live a long time. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when, with the 3 planets in your sign, Venus, Mars, and Saturn, squaring Uranus and Taurus, which is, Uranus is the 3rd malefic planet. It simply means that you really got to look out for your future, Aquarius. Now, nothing's going to hurt you too much because you've got Venus in your sign. You're going to do okay. And on top of that, Venus rules Libra, and Libra rules the law. So you sort of have the law on your side, Aquarius. But it's meeting stiff resistance because Uranus and Taurus is squaring your sun. What kind of resistance would it be? Financial. So you may not have enough money right now to do what you want to do, Aquarius. But on top of that, you may not have a clear sense of direction either. You may have an idea of what you want to do, but you may not have a budget. You may not have a team in place, but you could still know what you want to do in your future. Well, that's good. Maybe you need to just develop your ideas a little bit more. And I think that would just take you writing them down and then adding a little more polish to your ideas every week. And look and see what you've put together a month from now. And, you know, whenever we express ourselves, particularly in writing, believe me, I used to be a writing teacher. You never hand in the first thing you write. I can guarantee you it's not good enough. And so whatever you write, Aquarius, however you express yourself, think it over. Think about how to polish it. Ask yourself if you're really saying what you mean. And so just in the next month, instead of listening to arrogant people, or instead of worrying about things that are beyond your control, particularly financial problems that are a whole lot bigger than all of us, why don't you try to get your ideas down on paper and then, outline them and then keep polishing them and see where you are next month. You do have to wait until this horrible aspect of the three malefic planets squaring each other is past. Now, Saturn won't leave your sign until December, but Mars will move on, and unfortunately Venus is going to move on too. And so you need to break that tension or that stress up a little bit, and it would be financial. And see, I don't think you can solve the financial problems. I don't think anybody knows how to solve the financial problems. Inflation is insidious. It's just, it just makes you go broke after a while. And that's because everything is just too high priced, and nothing is worth it. Nothing has real value. So go ahead and write out what your future plans are, Aquarius, because you really have a lot of strength in your sign. But why don't you put that strength into something that'll do you a lot of good, and that way you won't have to worry about whether you have enough money or not. You really have to develop the core of the idea or the plan first. And by that time, perhaps this square will have broken up. And then you'll be on to better things. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when I think, Pisces, that even though the full moon in Virgo on Friday is opposing your sun sign, I think you're going to come out the big winner. And the reason why is that you have so many good planets in your sign. And, they're just going to do you a world of good. Okay, so you could say to yourself, oh, does that mean that my ship is coming in? Will I win the lottery? Am I going to be rich? What I think it means is the way it will operate, since yours is a double-bodied mutable sign, is that what you may be able to accomplish is something that is a sort of a small goal, and that is fairly easy, doesn't cost much money, and makes you feel good. It could be a charitable thing. And then you could also, after that's done, you could begin to solve a bigger goal. Maybe the charity is the circle within a bigger circle, and the bigger circle is your goal, your real goal, a career goal or a dream of yours that you've always had. Dreams are ruled by Pisces. This is a wonderful time to be thinking of how to make a dream come true. And they say there's nothing wrong with wishing on a star. And particularly for you, Pisces, this is a pretty good time to do that. You have some protection now. It's just that, don't get tripped by little tiny facts, which could happen when the full moon in Virgo, remember Virgo rules facts, is opposing your sun sign. So don't get tripped up by little tiny facts or by little health problems, something like that. Keep in mind something that is something that represents you at your best, because you're capable of that. And then a goal that is like a dream that you want to have come true. Nothing wrong with working on that one too, Pisces. Boy, this is a really good time for you to go forward, Pisces. Just don't get tripped up on small facts or small details. I don't mean avoid them. I just mean when somebody else is talking to you about small facts or nitty-gritty little things, that's not where your head should be right now. Ask them to write it down and send it to you. Then you don't have to work with that at the moment, and you can begin to think of these larger goals. And you're the only one that can think of those. So that's what you should be spending your time on now. Particularly with these wonderful planets in your sun sign. So I hope you give it a go. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org. And if you'd like me to send you the show directly, I'd be happy to do that if you subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel and tell your friends about that. And I will go ahead and send the show out, a new show every week on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next week. Bye.